Welcome to Season 2 of the Craft Beer Connoisseurs Podcast. I'm Tyler. If you're new to the podcast, we're three friends and a producer who like to showcase craft breweries and their beers. Also, we like to end every episode with a short conversation on a variety of different topics. If you're not new to the podcast, well, welcome back. We will keep things similar to Season 1. After all, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. Whether you're new or returning, please feel free to listen to all of our Season 1 content. And remember, to follow us on Instagram at Craft Beer Cons, send a friend request on Untapped, or subscribe on YouTube at Craft Beer Connoisseurs. Also drop a comment, like, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Now for today's episode. Welcome to Craft Beer Connoisseurs. I'm Tyler.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Brett, and along with us today is producer Alex.
Nice.
Welcome, Alex.
Yes, very excited to have him on.
Yes. So in today's episode, we're going to be reviewing a brewery that is local to us, Anderson Craft Ales, out of London, Ontario.
I've been there before.
I've been too.
Guess what? Same. Oh, and
and
our producer's
Alex
been there
has.
too.
Nice.
Amazing. So we're going to be trying two beers today. The first is an India Pale Ale named IPA.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. Yep.
Of course, for sure. And the second one is called Autumn, which is the first Marzen that we're reviewing on the podcast.
Nice. Nice to have something new. And to end the episode, we're going to be having a conversation on music/bands with a little bit of a twist. So stay tuned.
So we are reviewing Anderson, and for those of you who have not been there before, we have all been. It is located at 1030 Elias Street in London on the edge of the Old East Village, and it was founded by the father and son pairing of Gavin and Jim Anderson, and this brewery is 100% family owned and operated.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's impressive.
It is. So we're going to give you a little origin story on how this happened, a little Christmas story, if you will.
Sit back and relax.
So on Christmas Day in 2005, Gavin, who was then 19, discovered a big box under the tree left from Santa.
This is adorable.
It was a home brewing kit. Now, we assume that Gavin realized that it wasn't Santa who left it. He was 19 at the time. It was, in fact, his dad, Jim. And at that point, the obsession with brewing beer began. And then all the way fast forward to 2016, Anderson Craft Ales opened.
Nice.
I wonder how that beer turned out.
I don't know.
You know, like that's what
a
I'm
good question.
right?
The very first homebrew beer, yeah.
Yeah, see where they started from and see where they're at now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of speaking about, how beers taste and whatnot and how that one turned out, Anderson is all about using top-notch ingredients to make top-quality beers. We've had several of them, and we'll get to that.
We'll touch on that,
shortly. So the four main ingredients include Canadian grown barley, North American hops, crisp, clean water. That's that London water we like to drink, right?
Yep, Thames River.
Yeah. And yeast, which might also come from the Thames River.
Yeah, probably.
You never know, right?
All right, so let's kind of get into it a little bit and talk about it.
So one note from Gavin that he's made, who he also honed his craft at Brasseurs du Petit Assault in Edmundston, New Brunswick, before kind of coming back to the London area, is he stated that our beer is better than Budweiser, of course, because simply there's a lot more care put into it.
Yeah.
That might speak to that whole family-owned thing.
I
right?
cannot disagree with the fact that it's better than Budweiser or Coors. that it definitely is.
100% correct.
You know what, Chris?
100%.
You are correct.
I am correct.
So we've all been before. We discussed this, right?
Yes, we have.
Many
Many times.
Several times, yes.
Yeah, this month.
This week. Today.
This is definitely one of our local watering holes, and
Yeah.
usually we kind of do, I guess, a run of like the trifecta just based on location here in London, right?
Yeah.
Anderson, London Brewing Co., and then Powerhouse. But
The old Bermuda Triangle.
it's more of a line.
Yeah,
but
just a straight line down the tracks.
Straight line, but I get where you're going with it. And so it is a large facility, right? 7,000 square foot facility. They do 335 milliliter cans.
355.
Yeah, no, it's a typo.
Eh.
All right, so 355. You're right. Can buy it in singles. If you want to show up and just say, "Hey, I want a single hop series," buy one of those and get that, or you can buy it in 6-packs as well. So they do a lot of beers.
Yeah. So, and one of the interesting things about their beers, we mentioned we're having the IPA today. They basically just name their beers based on the style of beer. So it's none of these fancy names. It's cream ale, stout, amber, brown, like that sort of stuff.
You know what you're getting.
Very simplistic.
You know what you're getting. So yeah, it's there's no confusion there.
I'm sure other breweries have come up with 5-6 hour meetings about what we're going to name this IPA. Anderson's 3 seconds. Yep, that's an IPA.
Yeah,
We're good.
Yeah.
To kind of flash back to season 1 where Brett made the comment about the Waterloo Amber and seeing it in the beer store, or the LCBO, sorry, where you would know it because it says Amber on it. Yeah, you would know these beers because they are what they are.
It's true, right?
You're getting that IPA, you're getting that IPA.
And my big thing about Anderson is that they have their single hop series. So it allows you to develop a taste for that single individual hop. So they have the Lotus hop, Galaxy, El Dorado, Southern Passion, Sabre, just to name a few. I know there's many more.
Medusa, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of them. But it actually gives you a taste because of that single hop. Because a lot of times beers have more than one hop.
Right.
They do. And you don't really know what flavor is coming from which hop. So when they kind of parse it out to just one hop, it's really easy for you to say, okay, I'm getting grapefruit, for example, and I know that's coming from El Dorado, right?
And I know about the cans because I'm a big can guy. Anderson really enjoys, letting the people know exactly what you're going to get out of it, right? In terms of the taste, it's on the side of the can saying you're going to get this flavor with a note of that,
right?
And not many breweries do that, right?
And that's a good point too. The whole single hop series is essentially an education training, right?
Totally.
So I take that opportunity to be educated through drinking beer, right?
Yeah.
Any way we can spin it.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about their actual tap room? Because we mentioned we've been there multiple times. So now that it's open, people can go enjoy it again. So it's pretty cool. They've got the taps are actually on the ground floor. And they don't have a lot of seating on the ground floor, maybe 4 or 5 tables, something like that.
Yep.
But then they have a mezzanine up top, so you can go up there. They've got more tables, and you overlook everything. So you can see the tanks, the kettle boils, all the machinery. You can see their pallets of all the beers stacked up.
Yep. Especially on a canning day there.
Yeah. So it's really cool that you can actually just hang out up there, take a look at everything. They got games up there, things like that. So it's a really nice tap room.
The one thing I do have to commend Anderson on is their servers and going up those steps and not spilling any beer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, back in the day before BC, before COVID, you would get your beer yourself at the taps and then walk it up yourself. So if you had a flight and maybe it was your second or third flight, it might have been a little bit to get up that flight of stairs.
Right. And so talking again still about the brewery and its aesthetics is on that first floor where the bar is, they also have a large garage door that opens up to a outdoor kind of deck patio area, which they haven't used too much right now, but it was a nice sitting space in the summertime. And then they use part of the parking lot now as well for outdoor patio, which they've got several tables out there, and then they've got some Anderson kind of covering tents that are drilled into the ground because we've been there where there's heavy winds and those things aren't
I don't know
going
if
anywhere.
you've ever seen a windstorm lately. It's rain, but I get they're nailed in.
Some Edison light bulbs out there too. So aesthetically, it is nice.
The one thing I do enjoy also is that they have a nice diagram in terms of how they process their beer, how they make their beer, right? So I know some people may not be a craft beer lover, right? Those people who say, what's the closest thing you got to Bud Light?
Yeah.
But if you want to know how actual craft beer is made, take a look at the diagram.
Right. Yeah. So let's talk about some of the beers that they've produced, right? So they have 188 different products that have come out of Anderson. At least that's what's on Untapped.
On Untapped, yeah.
So there's kind of the top 5 check-ins. So they actually just did a recent collaboration with Hemans here in London as well.
Yep.
And so that was one of their highest ones, which is a strawberry Hemans sour at 3.97.
Which was very hard to get a hold of.
Super
right?
hard.
But we all did because we're connoisseurs.
I actually didn't get a hold of it, unfortunately.
What? You did not?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Well,
Well then.
that's too bad.
Whoops. That's pretty bad.
So that's one of their best sellers. They do have a Mexican porter that came in at 3.92. But Chris, why don't you talk about some of the beers that we've had just to kind of, I guess, show off a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, we've had a lot. I would say I've had about 33 of the 188.
I like it.
Yeah, which is the most out of all of us. So I've had 2 5s from there. The first one was actually my first 5, the hazy IPA. It was really good. Again, you'll notice these are just named literally right after the style of beer. Right. And then the sour fruit IPA as well.
Yeah.
Tyler, do you want to say how many
so
you've had?
I've had 32, one less. I think you had one last night.
I did, so I bumped up
appreciate it.
above you. Yeah.
So that's 2 5s. Mine are the exact same. Producer Alex had 29, and the highest rated for them was 4.5s. So 4.5s.
Right.
Hazy
Four-way
mango,
tie.
lime
Yes, four-way
goza,
tie.
and then the raspberry fruit sour and strawberry sours with Heeman. So
Yes, and this is probably one of the only times where I've came up in last place when it comes to consumption of beers. I've only had 19. So, I mean...
Can't win them all.
Can't win them all, right? So the 4.75 I had was from the Lotus Single Hop. And then I also had a 4.5, which was their gingerbread ale. And I remember that beer lovely because it's a nice Christmas time beer. It was very, very good.
perfect.
Yeah, so we mentioned that at the brewery you can get singles of their beers. They are in the LCBO. I don't know how wide they are in the province, but certainly here in London, they're very easy to find. And they do have 6-packs of their beers. They have the IPA, the cream ale, as well as their seasonal. And sometimes they just throw a few others into the LCBO
Absolutely.
as well.
Right.
Absolutely. So the one thing I will touch on about Anderson is the Hoppy Hour. So $5 pints Thursday from 4 to 6. I think maybe since it's kind of your guys' watering hole, I feel as though you've been there a time or two between 4 and 6 on a Thursday.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know if I have.
But the other thing I will say is their charity of the month. So $1 from every beer sold on Thursdays for that entire month gets donated to the winning charity. So they have a bunch of charities that enter into the draw, and $1 from every beer sold on every Thursday that month at the end of the month gets donated to the charity that wins, which I thought is a very, very good idea.
Nice. All right. Well, we're going to link to their social or their information on our social media. We can link to their social media.
We'll do that too.
Yeah.
Lots of linking going on here.
Everything's linking up. So if you want to get in touch with them and see everything, just check out our social media.
Someone say it's LinkedIn. Anyway, let's get on to beer number 1.
All right. So we're back. And a big thank you at first to Bridget from Anderson for supplying the beers on today's episode.
What a lovely human being.
Yeah.
When I went to pick up the beers, she was like, "How do you know my name?" It's like, "Because you gave me your name." So, it's kind of a funny moment.
That's an interesting story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Full of them.
Yeah, so the first beer we're going to have, which we mentioned, is called IPA, which is a IPA. And it
Doesn't get old, eh?
No, it really doesn't. And has a 6.5 ABV with 60 IBUs.
Perfect. So this IPA pours, apparently, I mean, we kind of already know, but apparently a light color with a slightly bitter backbone, balanced with a smooth bitterness, accentuated by refreshing citrus and tropical notes of North American hops.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling a little hungry. So you should try pairing this beer with maybe some big, bold tasting foods like curry, fajitas, grilled meat, or even a rich chocolate cake.
Oh, that's
I could go for a nice rich chocolate cake.
I could go for any of those things right now.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, on Untappd, you can follow us at Craft Beer Connoisseurs, and the overall rating for IPA on Untappd is 3.76 bottle caps out of 5, with 3,887 check-ins. So quite a few check-ins.
Yep.
Interesting, the highest rating for the IPA actually comes from the Growler serving, which is a 4.08, but there's only 70 ratings, and the can, which has about 2,300, is at 3.88, so still above average, actually. So
Right.
I guess draft might be bringing it down.
Could be.
Anyway, so our friends on Untappd, our Craft Beer Connoisseurs friends, 31 of them have checked this in with an average of 376. Look at that. Right on the
Right
OR.
on cue.
Yeah.
Like to see that.
Our friends and everybody who's using Untappd, we are connected at the 376.
There it
looks
is.
like.
Yeah, and a good point from producer Alex on this too is if you are getting the beer out of a growler, because it's an IPA, you're probably enjoying it. You probably like it ahead of time.
Yeah.
So thus your rating was probably going to be a little bit inflated.
Maybe you had it on draft at the brewery or something and you liked it and wanted
Right.
to take it
Could
home.
be skewed a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then on draft or the taster, right? If you're doing a flight, you might
Yeah.
not be an IPA connoisseur. So
True.
you might be bringing the rating down. But let's enjoy this one. Let's see what we can get here. So let's grab our can and grab our glass. And there's a new little kind of
New tab on this
new
can,
tab
yeah.
on here.
The
Yeah,
old square tabs.
there she is. So let's open her up. All right. One thing you got to appreciate with this is they do fill it right to the top.
They fill their cans right
You're
to the
getting
top.
all 355 milliliters of the beer.
That's
for
right.
sure.
It's not like a bag of chips where half of it is air. All right, so we are pouring this into an IPA glass, so make sure to use your proper glassware.
Perfect. All right, what do we see? So I got a nice head of mine. We got no head over on Brett's, really.
It's because
Not
I
much.
poured it well. Or didn't pour it at all.
And I think
Pretty
Chris
decent
actually has
head.
the best pour this time, everybody. Let's give him a round of applause at home.
Thank you.
Just so you know, for everybody at home, no spillage.
No
on
spillage.
Chris's end.
It's easier when it's a 355 can versus
Yeah.
a 473. There's
Right.
less worry about spillage, but
So we're looking at it, and we've got that nice kind of golden look to it. Again, it's not a hazy IPA or anything like that. So
No,
it's
it's
just
not.
a straight up IPA, very golden there. As we go through it with this kind of head style, I'm assuming we're going to see lacing throughout as we
Yeah,
drink.
so you
it,
will
right?
get some
Yeah.
lacing for this one for sure.
I've got a good 2 and a bit fingers of head on mine. What are you guys looking at?
well, they do say that there is on the can. They say there's a bright. It has bright citrus, melon, and stone fruit, and I'm getting that when I smell it, like kind of that citrusy flavor or smell.
Yeah, I'm getting the citrus as well. Brett, do you have anything you want to add?
I just want to add this, just so everybody is aware, this is an unfiltered IPA.
It is, although I don't
I was
see
gonna
any
say,
sediment
There's
floating
no
on.
sediment, yeah.
It actually looks pretty clear.
Clean,
So
yeah.
the fact that it is unfiltered is interesting.
Also of note, we are having this at 8 degrees Celsius.
Oh yeah, get the thermometer out and give it
Yes.
a check, right? All right, so why don't we get sipping here, fellas?
Let's taste
Let's
it.
do that.
Thoughts?
Yeah, it's definitely malty, right? They do say there's a malt backbone. That's kind of how I would say this. This is malty, a little bit bitter, which it's 60 IBUs, so I would expect that bitterness.
Right.
And then probably not as much citrus when on the taste as much as I might expect based on smelling it.
And this is your prototypical West Coast IPA, if you look at it, right? It's got that bitterness in there. It's got that citrus. It's got that malt backbone. I have no complaints about this one. I don't think I've ever had a complaint about an Anderson beer. I'm just going to keep drinking it.
Good to know.
Tyler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do kind of get the stone fruitiness out of it,
Yeah,
as well
okay.
as I'd say it drinks like clean, right? There's not a whole lot of mouthfeel on it. It goes down fairly well. You do get that malty, and then again at the end a little bit of the bitter. And I don't know if it lingers a little bit. So in between your tastes or your sips, you might taste still that bitterness just kind of lingering around a bit.
Yeah, I totally get that. And I think we should mention that all of four of us have had this beer before. Being so close to Anderson and this being one
Being
of their...
Anderson craft ale connoisseurs.
Yeah, and this being one of their flagship beer, we've definitely had this before, so we kind of know what to expect. But it's always nice to have it again because this is a good beer, a really nice IPA.
For sure.
Absolutely. So, top 5 flavor profiles.
Hit us.
So, number 1, hoppy.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it is hoppy.
2, citrus.
Yeah, I would say there is citrus, but and looks like producer Alex is agreeing with this as well. Maybe not number 2, like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'd almost put citrus maybe in the 3 range myself, but
Okay.
I see where you guys are going.
I'm kind of that. Number 3, bitter.
Yes, it is bitter, which I probably would replace citrus with bitter.
Number 4, floral. And I'm just going to come up with producer Alex's comment of no.
No, yeah, I don't get floral either.
Yeah, I'm not really picking out
No,
floral
I'm
as
not getting
well,
that either.
and I
Yeah.
think that's where you could move in like a stone fruit or clean as well, right?
Yes.
And producer Alex just made that same kind of comment. Maybe that those are some of that are missing.
And 5, smooth.
Yeah, I think it's a smooth IPA.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I think that might be again coming with the clean, smooth aspect of it. So
yeah,
I
goes
can
down real smooth.
Get behind that for
Okay.
sure.
So now you've heard about some of our thoughts. Let's hear about other people's thoughts.
Okay.
So Tyler, you have the first one in terms of somebody's thoughts on this IPA.
Yeah, so the first one we got is Jay, and the handle is BingeBot. On July 30th, stated the following. Always solid, grassy goodness, which is a rarity in an IPA. Anderson IPA, I appreciate you for what you are. and Jay gave it a 4 out of 5. The grassy goodness, I'm not really getting that aspect of it, but I can.
I wonder if he's confusing like
Yeah.
the grassiness with that floral, and that's kind of what he's getting off of it.
Quite possibly. That's a good point. But I do appreciate the fact that they appreciate them for who Anderson is.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yep.
And just halfway down, we got lots of lacing going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For-
which we kind of predicted, right?
Like, absolutely.
So the next one comes from Fab F. Handle is 4Meg on June 5th. Said a rather old school IPA with malt and dank resinous notes. A bit of bite/character is missing here, but the Canadian brew is more than drinkable. However, and so Fab F gave it a 3 out of 5. Interesting. Fab has a total of 5,713 check-ins, but the average is only 2.94.
Very hard critiquer.
Big time on that. And 1,332 of his check-ins have been threes.
Sounds like he's got the like Russian judge kind of vibe.
Yeah. I think was it a Russian judge or was it the French judge? But the Russians paid them off. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, one of the two.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So starting with our ratings, I am going to stick with the rating I originally gave it January 31st, 2020. I was actually having some nice crispers and watching the Raptors game against the Pistons. I'm going to give it a 3.75.
Well, I am also going to stick with my original rating, which I had on October 26, 2019, which is also 3.75.
I'm also going to stick with my original rating. This one was from March 21st, 2020, because I probably did an order right when everything got shut down. Mine is 3.75.
Wow. And it looks like producer Alex also going with the same rating of 3.75
Okay, so
Which
I'm gonna
was
get-
on June 21st.
on June
of 20
21st.
of 2020 as well.
2020, okay.
And it looks like it was outside the backyard. Oh. Yeah.
as he is a lot. So producer Alex, can you spin the math for us to give us a kind of a total what that's going to be?
Well, considering all of us gave the same rating, it should be pretty easy, Brett.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.75 for the team. So it's a 3.75 for the team.
Perfect. Well, let's move on to beer number 2. All right, we're back. And the second beer that we're going to have today is called Autumn, which is a Marzen. And it has a 5.5 ABV and 26 IBUs.
Nice.
Yes, indeed. So this is a smooth, copper-colored Oktoberfest-style beer that has a maltiness, finished with some German noble hops for a clean, crisp finish.
So we're going to have this as we ring in October, right?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Bingo.
Oktoberfest.
Yes,
Nice.
Oktoberfest. So this beer has aromas of caramel, hops, bread, and freshly cut grass,
Wow.
with the toasted grain and nuts, leading to again a clean, crisp finish. So what you want to do, Brett, just so you know,
Because I'm still hungry.
This is very important.
you're going to want to try it with a grilled cheese and bacon sandwiches.
That sounds delicious.
Oh.
Yeah, I could have multiple of those right now.
Go to like a nice market, get some nice fresh bacon.
Oh, yeah.
All right, support local.
Oh, man. I'm hungry. All right. So on Untappd for this autumn, there are 1,320 check-ins with an average rating of 3.67 bottle caps out of 5. And we are drinking this out of the can, of course. So it has 775 ratings for can and a 3.79 rating from the can. And interestingly, we've had 24 friends on Untappd try this one, and they're giving it a 3.73 average out of 5.
All right.
Okay, so
Just
just a little fine balance there. Let's see where this is going to end up.
Just a little bit above the average. All right, let's grab that can, grab that glass, and let's open her up. All right, and the pour.
Again, they're very full cans. So this being a Marzen, our producer Alex is actually drinking it out of a Das Boot.
Gospel.
Das Boot.
And the rest of us were drinking it out of a mug.
Not Das Boot.
Not Das Boot.
No boot of Das.
So make sure to use your proper glassware.
All right, what do we see here, fellas?
I believe we see a, some would say, copper-colored Oktoberfest.
Yeah, no, you know what?
It's definitely
It's
copper-colored.
bang on. It really is.
You make a little bit of a joke about it, but it is extremely copper. I'm getting a little bit of a light show over here from producer Alex.
He's just wanting to show off Das Boot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it is. That's what it is. And the dangerously low line on his beer, but
Good carbonation in it.
good carbonation.
Very
yeah.
well carbonated, yes.
And again, it's interesting because it is coming from Das Boot. So you see this carbonation of this bubble flow from the toe of the boot all the way up to the
To the cankles.
to the cankles.
Well, what I want to know is Das Boot the proper glassware?
Yes.
Okay.
Or a mug.
Or a mug.
Yeah.
Okay. Very German style beer.
The Das Boot has a handle, so we'll consider it a mug.
Okay.
A nice kind of little head to her, a little frothy,
Yeah, nice and frothy and
sticking around. It looks very German. You know?
it does. I mean, this definitely looks like what you would expect from a Marzen.
Yeah, for sure.
This definitely seems like a beer you're going to cheers about 30 other people in like the Bavarian Inn and just
Right.
Shout out to Frankenmuth.
go to Frankenmuth, have this beer.
There would be a time if we get Frankenmuth Oktoberfest beer podcast.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yes,
saying.
I'm always down for Frankenmuth, and so is our producer. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it's always a good time. All right, we'll get talking a little bit here. Chris, do you want to talk a bit about Anderson and maybe kind of your connection to craft beer before we move on to the next?
Yeah,
section?
sure. So basically, Anderson, it holds a little bit of a special place in my heart. So it kind of got me into the craft beer scene. So I was actually I curl at the Ilderton Curling Club just outside of London, and one of the folks that are part of the Anderson family was curling there as well, and he managed to get Anderson on draft there. And so the cream ale was kind of my go-to at the curling club, and kind of got me interested in it, and visited the brewery a few times, and yeah, got me liking craft beer.
And what you guys don't know is that there's actually an Anderson tattoo that Chris has us.
Could you imagine the dedication to it?
Yeah, really.
So, Chris, while you're telling that story, Brett and I already dipped into it a little bit. So,
Okay.
So we'll allow you to dip into it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, malty, clean, smooth, light. It's there, right? Like it's doing pretty good.
Definitely getting that
Joyce.
maltiness on the back end.
What about that caramel?
A little bit of caramel,
yeah.
kind of in the middle almost of the, a sweetness as well coming with the caramel. But yeah, again, we said it looks like a Marzen. I'd say it tastes like a Marzen too. So,
Yeah. I mean, again, as all Anderson beers, pretty simplistic labeling. You know exactly what you're going to get, and you're not going to get disappointed.
Yeah.
speaking of the labeling on the can, one thing I can certainly appreciate is that they do show the type of glass that they expect you to drink it out of. So
That would be something that you would enjoy.
I would certainly enjoy that. So
There's a lot of information, even though there's not a lot of text.
Yes.
Right? They do a great job of displaying everything and keeping it clean. So that's nice.
I think the information they provide is really for connoisseurs like us, right? Like we're interested in this sort of stuff, and I think it makes a big difference in giving you a lot of information about the beer before you drink it.
Right.
All I know is producer Alex and Tyler over there are getting real giddy about this beer.
No, we got a lot of information here, so let's get through it. So, top 5 flavor profiles. Numero uno, malty. Number 1, malty. What do you guys got?
I'm thinking maybe more caramel is number 1 versus
Okay.
malty. Malty's definitely within the top 5.
Yeah, I would agree. It's in the top 5, but yeah, maybe not number 1.
Okay. Number 2, smooth.
100% agree with that.
Yeah, this
Definitely
is
goes
a
down
smooth beer.
Yeah. Number 3, caramel.
Number 1.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
I
already
would,
said
I
that.
would
I think- yeah.
probably put it number 1, that or the next one, which is I'll steal. Or you say it. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. Because there's a lot of sweetness in this beer, even though this is a Marzen, which is a lager. So there's no adjuncts, but they do a great job of making it sweet and caramel tasting.
Right. And number 5, clean.
Yes.
Yes. It's all clean. It's all malty. It's all smooth. It's all caramel. It's all sweet. It's all clean.
Yeah. And so the thing again with this is because of what it is being unfiltered, right? It says it on the can.
Yep.
And it is a very clean beer, no adjuncts kind of floating around. But you're right, and producer Alex is actually correct on this too, is that it does hit on all 5. There's not a toss-in to be found here.
There's not.
So we like that. We like that. So let's go to some of the thoughts for the Untapped users. Chris, you got the first one there.
Yep. First one coming from Rich M. Username is rmick71 on September 18th. Said, not too sweet, refreshing for a sunny Saturday with some live music on the patio. And so Rich gave it a 3.5 out of 5 and was on the patio at Anderson having this beer and listening to some live music.
Yeah, so that is one thing Anderson does do. Saturdays 1 to 4, some live music.
And that's going to tie in nicely with our theme conversation.
Very nicely.
Absolutely. My review is from Daniel G, and his username is Grignon. Smooth, malty, caramel sweetness and some bitterness, which lingers into the finish. A nice German-style lager, which will go down very easily in the upcoming fall months. Gave it a 3.25 out of 5.
Nice.
Nice, yeah.
So in terms of our ratings, I will say that before we give our ratings, maybe 3 of us here have had this beer before.
Yes, we have.
Who has not?
Me.
So again, it's actually funny, right?
But
Brett?
I've had it now.
You've had it now because
had it now.
you were saying you had the least amount of Anderson beers in total, which is probably unusual, and you've also not had this beer, and you're the only one that hasn't, which is maybe a little unusual as well.
And also me, just unusual.
Yeah.
Well, can't argue with
You
that.
said it. Chris, what do you got here, bud?
So I'm going to stick with my rating that I had on this beer. I first had this October 11th of last year, which was on Thanksgiving, and I gave it a 4.
Wow. Good.
I've had this beer today. So I'm going to stick with my rating from earlier today of 3.75.
Nice. All right. And for me, I had this September 13th, 2020, and I gave it a 3.5, and I'm going to give it a 3.5 today as well. Now, fun fact for all those kids playing at home, producer Alex is going to give it a 3.75. Now, the interesting part of this whole thing is that this is actually his 1-year anniversary to the day in which producer
having
Alex
it. Oh.
had this beer. So what a quinky dink from when we're actually recording this. It's 1-year anniversary. So
It is quite coincidental. So,
Chris, what do we got?
Overall, that gives us a team score for Untapped again at 3.75. So
We are keeping our math simple.
we are.
consistency is key. So now that is going to be all from Anderson.
And next up, we're going to be talking a little bit about music.
All right. Now, naturally, we got inspired by the brewery, for our theme conversation, much like we do.
As we do, yeah.
And today we want to touch a little on music. So we've done this in the past a little bit, but we're going to change it up just a slight little touch. So, if you're not serving up delicious pints, one of their staff members may be playing Super Smash Bros.
Which one? Bridget?
No, not Bridget. Or playing some live music on the guitar while also providing the vocals for a band called Fun Fact. So we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier on in this episode about the live music happening.
Yeah.
And so one of their servers is part of a band called Fun Fact. It's a local band playing funk music, and, they can be found on YouTube or Spotify.
Now, how does he have time to play in the band? Because he's always at Anderson.
Playing Super Smash Bros. Or serving us pints.
You want to know what
Yeah.
it's called? Multitasking.
Yes. M-A-L-T-Y, tasking, multitasking. Stick to the IPAs or the autumn beer. So yeah, we always go friendly face, very friendly faces there.
Totally.
But yeah, so I figured, let's do a little bit on music and maybe something a little bit off the beaten path. So does anybody have any local musicians that you listen to or any memories of like local bands growing up? Brett, you look like you're posturing, so
Yes.
I'm expecting you to come out here.
I will. So I went to a lot of, what is it called? Small town strip clubs concerts.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, what?
Small town strip club? No? You never heard of the band?
No.
No.
They play the Masonic Hall in Stratford.
Okay, so that's the name of the band. All right.
Thought you were just telling us
Yeah,
what you did
it's
last
like-
night.
but I don't think this is themed.
Actually, just tying this in. Fun fact:
Okay.
there's actually a bylaw within Perth County that there can be no adult entertainment facilities.
It's 100% true. The last one was out on Ontario Street, and after it left, they went ahead and made a bylaw that there was no adult entertainment.
Yes, my dad closed it down.
There it is. All right. Welcome in, Mitchell. All right, go ahead. What else you got? Anything else? Or is that
The only thing I will say is that the only other memory that I have is kind of like the Battle of the Band stuff, right? I know that.
Son of a gun.
Yeah. We actually, I don't know how this was allowed, but when we did a grade 8 Battle of the Bands day, they put a crash mat off the stage, and everybody was allowed to take a stage dive.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's kind of fun. Chris, you got anything?
So I don't really have a lot in terms of local musicians. I will say in terms of kind of bigger bands, there's an 80s band called Glass Tiger from Newmarket,
Yes.
which is
Yep.
close to Aurora.
Right.
So that's kind of like the quote unquote big band from my local area. And then, yeah, like in high school, I was part of the jazz band. And so we had a bunch of people in the jazz band. Yeah, I know, band geek. We had a bunch of people in the jazz band who had their own band.
Right.
Kind of, they had a saxophone player, so it was like a ska band. And they would kind of just play music like their own music whenever we had some downtime in practicing for the jazz band. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, not a lot in terms of local stuff going on.
Some would say that you guys banded together in order to freestyle.
Jesus.
Wow.
All right. So coming from Stratford, I'll kind of give a little bit of mine. So the biggest, like, unfortunately, band musician was Justin Bieber.
Never heard of him.
I don't know who that guy is.
No.
Yeah. So growing up, you would go ahead and see him playing out, busking on like the Avalon Theater steps all the time. And there's a fun story behind that with one of our friends, Trevor. Were you going to tell it?
No, I was not.
No,
I have another
so
story about him.
Another buddy, it was Trevor and Matt Downey out there, and one of our buddies, Matt, he went ahead and asked for an autograph, and Trevor like grabbed the napkin after and like threw it in, so this guy's gonna be nothing. And it was probably,
That is Trevor, season 1, episode 7 of Producer Specials.
Yeah.
Just an
Yeah,
FYI.
there you go.
yeah, I mean Trevor also had the autumn before you did.
Everybody else did too.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So producer Alex also actually went to school with Justin Bieber. So
Wow.
again, the high school battle of dancing. One of my earliest memories of like live music, live bands, we had this, I don't know, grade 7, 8 kind of pool party, and like it was boys, girls, and the whole thing,
Oh, mixed gender.
Were you guys all
Yeah.
separated and I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith came on? You guys all came together?
No, we were in the pool. We were having time. There were snacks out there. Oh, it was a great time. But there was a band from some of our friends, and they put like a canopy over top of the equipment and all that jazz. But things were getting a little rambunctious, and water was spraying everywhere from the pool because we were just doing cannonballs, all that jazz.
Yeah.
And they saran wrapped like the whole front of the canopy, so then that way no water would get on the equipment. It was just wild as a
is
grade
wild.
7 and 8. So. Again, we kind of bring up this topic because there's a lot of like love and collaboration between craft breweries and live music, right?
Yes.
So, are there any kind of musicians that you thought had like a small following at first, but then turned out to be kind of like actually bigger than you thought? Because sometimes that's how it is. You're like, oh, nobody knows these guys, but everybody knows them.
Yeah, so I have a couple examples. So as a kid, I was always kind of a big fan of the Bare Naked Ladies.
Never heard of them. They knew?
If I had $1 million.
There you go. So
We wouldn't be where we're at if you had $1 million.
We would be
No,
doing this every
we-
day.
I literally thought no one else knew who the Bare Naked Ladies was until
Serious.
I got a little older, and like people were like, "Yeah, we know the Bare Naked Ladies."
one
Like,
of my teachers in college actually married the drummer.
oh, really?
Ladies.
She really knew the drummer and Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh,
she did.
she knew.
Okay, so
and
there
then the
it
other
is.
one is a little bit more general, where again, like in kind of elementary school, I was and still am a big fan of classic rock music, and like nobody else that I knew listened to classic rock.
Right.
And then I go to high school, and like all these new people that I'm meeting listen to classic rock. And I'm like, oh, I guess it's not that kind of cool
Yeah.
to do it, right? Everyone,
I'm not as unique as I once thought.
Exactly, yeah. So those are kind of like the two big
A
examples.
lot of personal complexes happen for
Yeah.
you.
Right. For me, a lot of me and kind of producer Alex kind of correlate here.
Okay.
Really?
You guys come together?
Yeah.
Like
you
a
know.
band?
Yeah, we banded
Banded
together.
together?
We've seen a lot of the same people, I would say, live. So Tim Hicks, Dallas Smith, Jess Moskowitz before they all became big.
Yes.
But the biggest
Big
one I was...
Jess Moskowitz fan.
Yes, big Jess Moskowitz fan. Anyway, so we went together to Boots and Hearts in 2014. Had a big makeup job on my knee in order to go. That's besides the point. I'll tell that story for another day. So anyway, there was a huge hailstorm.
Yep.
And it was myself, producer Alex, his girlfriend, his sister, his sister's boyfriend at the time, who's now husband, and a guy by the name of Justin, who, we shared a bed for a few days. It was a good time. Anyway, so the hailstorm came down, and we're all hiding behind a locker. Like there was lockers there that you purchased to put your phones
Your
and whatnot
things in, yeah.
things in, right?
Yeah.
I'm still wondering how this correlates here. But
Yeah.
okay.
We were at the same location.
Okay.
Anyway, so after the hailstorm had kind of subsided and they kind of let the musicians, do their thing again because apparently you can't play music in a hailstorm. At the side stage, there was two people there, and one was Sam Hunt,
Okay.
and one was Chris Stapleton. And Sam Hunt just came out with the song "Lead the Night On," which was kind of starting to become a little popular. But I had no idea who Chris Stapleton was.
Right. Yep.
No idea at all. And they're at the side stage, and literally it's just us six because somebody's playing music. We need to run over there, right? Because
You ran?
we ran.
Okay.
All six of us ran. Maybe five of us. I think producer Alex was a little bit behind.
Fallacy in the story.
And literally, it was just us six out of this tent, and Sam Hunt and Chris Stapleton both played 28-minute acoustic sets to literally just us six.
That's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Right? And I didn't realize that Sam Hunt had wrote Cop Car by
Right.
Keith Urban. Chris
Yeah.
Stapleton had wrote
Yeah.
a couple Luke Bryan songs that he had played.
Yeah, a lot of the times they're writers
Right?
before the performance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was actually one of the memories that I will always have.
Right.
100%.
Yep.
Tyler?
Yeah, so kind of going back again to Windsor. So like the script, right? Playing in Windsor for a small group, then realized they were huge. Like I remember I didn't go to the concert, but my then girlfriend did and came back and was like, "Oh yeah, we listened to the script." I was like, "I don't know who the heck that is. It sounds like somebody small, like not mainstream." And
Right.
it turns out that they then were huge.
Right.
And then I also kind of like to think that I got on like the ground floor of Mike Studd. Right. So Mike Studd was actually a pitcher for Duke University. He pitched with Marcus Stroman.
I think there's the connection there, right?
And I was like, yeah, Mike Studd, that's sick. Like, that's cool. And, he turned into a hip hop artist. And then he became big because he was also independent. But Chris, I think you would appreciate this as well. Is like going to school in Windsor. We
Yes.
always heard like newer music from Detroit before friends back home. So like you'd hear somebody play, you'd hear, classic one, Stanky Leg.
The stanky leg.
We knew about the Stanky Leg a good half year, 8 months before it kind of hit, Stratford, London area.
Yeah, and I was speaking with my wife,
yes.
a couple days ago about this.
The stanky leg?
Because, just this kind of the stanky leg, but this music in general, because she went to Windsor with us as well.
Yes.
And she was saying, like, she would, same thing, hear music in Windsor, then come home for a weekend or something like that.
Be the coolest kid ever.
Go to the club, hear a song, no one would know it, and she would know all the words.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like that was kind of the cool thing about
It was pretty cool.
being close to a different country.
Yeah.
And then, bringing it back home. So, and then one thing that I always kind of find like mind blowing is that people that listen to City and Color thought it was a completely different musician when they heard like Dallas Green.
Right.
Right. Like
They
Dallas
didn't
Green
realize,
is literally City and Color.
Right.
And I remember people not understanding that connection to it. So Dallas Green's actually from St. Catharines, so not very local to ourselves, but very small. And
We've been to St. Catharines. We know where he is.
Yep. And then the favorite song, obviously, is The Girl. And I don't know if it's just kind of hit home a little bit more based on when I listened to The Girl, that song, because it was all about breakups and emotion.
Just kind of like the timing.
But just a straight banger, just
straight banger.
hit hard, sorry, if you just want to put out some Kleenex. So.
Oh, beautiful. So I'm going to just add one more thing, a little bit kind of different in terms of almost the opposite to what you mentioned about the script, where in Windsor, there was a concert for Cardinal Official.
Nice.
Oh, yes.
And so it was kind of opposite because I thought he was huge.
Right.
And then I went to this concert and there was like 20 people there.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe he's actually not huge, but
fair enough.
I don't know.
Was it like the Body Bounce song with Akon? Is that a big deal?
It was like right after he signed with Akon's label.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I know one of, I think it was Cardinal Official's song lyrics actually mentions Joe Carter's home run against Philly.
yes, I believe so.
Fun
Yeah.
fact. Let's tie that up. Let's
I see
wrap
what you
it
did
up.
there.
And so we're going to actually put some of the fun facts information with our social media as well. So give them a listen. I know that they were just playing at the Truly Craft Beer Festival here in London and did a song from Gorillaz. So very interesting stuff. And we'll be right back with our farewells. And that's all for today's episode.
Thanks again for listening. Keep on listening every other Thursday as Craft Beer Connoisseurs releases a new episode, and on our off Thursdays for a producer special.
So make sure to tell your friends, family, and your local musician and breweries. Give your local musician a beer afterwards,
Yeah,
That's a good idea. So from all of us and producer Alex, I'm Chris.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Tyler. And together, we're the Craft Beer Connoisseurs.